I learned the past 3-4 years of my life that you can always find joy, fulfillment, and success every time you're forced to start over again and to figure out a different path in life. I know sometimes it's hard to like lose a job, for example, and be forced to figure out another way. Like I know people think that it's the end of the world when they lose something, but I learned that you can always find success and new lessons every time you're forced to start all over again. And let me tell you exactly how I came to that conclusion, okay? Just towards the end of 2021, I had a dream to become famous on TikTok. I know it's a dream that most of us dreamt of as children. At the time, I was 16 years old, just about to turn 17, and I wanted to be somewhat of a hotshot on TikTok, okay? I had a friend who gathered around 2 million followers on TikTok, and she was a very close friend of mine, and I looked up to her in a way where I was like, I see myself doing this as well, but instead of me just making funny TikToks, I wanted to film vlogs. And the reason why I wanted to film vlogs on TikTok is because I used to watch people on YouTube who would pick up the camera and film funny moments with their friends. And in my mind, I'm like, I see myself doing this. I love watching this. That means I probably could do this as well because it gave me something to go after. Like I didn't have a dream as a child. I just wanted to do my own thing. And plus at the time, we didn't have money to kind of just continue my education. So I was like, you know what? I've got all the time in the world. I've got my phone, I've got a camera. May as well pick up the camera and just film funny moments with my friends. And every day when I would go out with friends, I'll pick up the camera and I would film every single moment of us hanging out. And within the first month of me posting vlogs on TikTok, I gained 2,000 followers on TikTok. Now I know that this could have just been beginner's luck, but for me, I saw myself doing this full time. I was like, okay, if I gained 2,000 followers within the first month, could you imagine within the next 6 months where I would be? And then I had this dream where I would see myself posting vlogs every single day and making a lot of money and just living the dream life of being an influencer. However, though, that dream would be short-lived because just a short time after that, in May of 2022, one morning I wake up thinking that this will be some other normal day where I film vlogs with my friends and post on TikTok and edit my videos and just experience wonderful moments every single day. I got to find out that my father is going to jail and I'm not going to see him for a long time. Now you may say, how does your father going to jail and your dream have anything to do with each other? Well, since I lived with my father back in 2022, I lived with my father since 2019 till mid of 2022. And since my father was out of the picture, I could no longer be in the same area as me and my friends. I had to move back to my home country where I have no friends, I have nobody to film with, I have nothing to do. So basically, I would have to start back from ground zero and figure things out. So my dream was short-lived because I couldn't do what I used to do with my friends back in my home country. And of course, when I found out that my father was going to jail, I not only was sad because I never wanted this to happen to us from the first place, but I also saw my future kind of crumble because in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, I don't have a degree and now I don't have a hobby that I can follow on a day-to-day basis. What the heck am I going to do? So when I moved back in with my mom and brother and I had to start back from ground zero, I had to dabble around to figure exactly what my next move will be. And the first move that I did wasn't like something that I planned. It was actually just like a coincidence. I was scrolling on TikTok just like any other human being who has a phone a lot of time and nothing to do. However, instead of me just endlessly scrolling, I was looking for opportunities on TikTok. Like, you know, we're hiring for X position. And luckily enough, I come across a post of a guy promoting a sales job for a suit company. They were selling suits and they wanted sales representatives. And I don't know why, but something in my heart told me to apply. So I go in the link in their bio to see exactly who is the kind of person that they're looking to hire. And the problem is, at the time when I looked at the job posting, they were looking for someone with experience. I didn't have any experience. I was a 17-year-old with no degree, no experience, no money, just trying to find a job. But I applied anyway. I was like, you know what? I've got nothing to lose. If they call me back, if they email me back, it's a win-win situation. They don't know me, I don't know them. It's not gonna be an embarrassing situation. I applied, and 2 days later, I swear to God, I get an email of a guy asking me to jump on a call to see if I'm a good fit. I was like, oh, okay. I don't want to get my hopes up, but if I do get the job, that's life-changing. I jump on the call, and he goes through this presentation. And during the presentation, he asked me, he was like, do you have experience? I was like, you want me to be honest? I don't have any experience, but I really want the job. He saw how hungry I was for the job that at the end of the call, he said, okay, this job is going to be commission based, so we're not going to give you a salary. If you were experienced, we could have given you a salary, but since you don't have any experience, you will only work based on commission. I was like, heck yes. I've got nothing to lose. I've got time. I've got Wi-Fi. I can just do sales all day long and try to get as many sales as I can, and I would just live off of that. And then like a week later, he sets me up with a trainee to go through my training and to tell me exactly what I have to do. And the process was simple. I was given instructions to build a bunch of LinkedIn accounts where I would go and DM and email and contact as many people as I can based off the list that they would give me to try and book them in for a call with their people, so then they could sell suits and ties and all that kind of stuff. And I would do that every single day with about 6 LinkedIn accounts. And by the 3rd month of me being on the job, I made a total of $11,000. Now, of course, me going from someone who has no education, no experience, nothing to his name, to a 17-year-old who all of a sudden by the 3rd month of him being on the job made $11,000. I want to make something very clear. The 3rd month of me being on the job, I didn't make $11,000 in that month. That was the total amount that I made throughout the past 3 months. However, though, although the money was good and nice and very life-changing, and it made my mom very proud, I wanted to take a different path in life because I didn't like the job. I just liked that it paid. I didn't like the fact that I would need to work every single day and then I would be forced to make more LinkedIn accounts to DM more people. Eventually, I'll get to a point where I would be working more than 15 hours a day, and I didn't want that even if it could have paid a lot more money. So I left the job after 3 months with the hopes to start my own thing and to finally unleash my creative powers and my discipline powers into some other project that I actually care about. But here's where some of the things went wrong, okay? When I left the job, I had a few $1,000s in my name, okay? Now, most people with that kind of money, they would invest it or save it or start a business where they can use that money as a startup capital. Instead, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do the right thing and I'm gonna help my father out. I call up my grandfather and I was like, okay, this is how much I have at the moment. What can we do with that kind of money to help ease out some of my father's problems? My grandfather goes back to the lawyers and then he comes back. He's like, okay, we can buy him some time out of jail. I was like, that's perfect. Let's do that. This will definitely be fulfilling to see how I could help him get out of jail to figure out what he's gonna do next. Because of course, when you're in jail, you don't really have much to do. You don't really have any power moves. But if you're out of jail, you can start to think clearly and figure out something to fix everything out. So I was like, okay, if I could help him and have him come out of jail, maybe, just maybe, he could fix things that I could go back to living with him, make vlogs on TikTok, and just keep doing what I used to love doing most. So as that was happening, and I got him out of jail, I decided to start a business, but this time I didn't have any money to start that business because I had already given all my money to my dad to get him out of jail. So now the issue was I had to figure out a business where I don't need any startup capital to start that business, and all I would need is time to get it working. So of course, just like all my other ways of finding opportunities, I went on social media, but this time it was YouTube because I was like, okay, if I want to start somewhat of an online business, I would need to go to the big hub of gurus, which is YouTube. So I go on YouTube, endlessly scrolling until I came across a video of a guy mentioning, this is the best business to start in 2022. I was like, oh, okay, this is intriguing. Let me see what this guy's on about. I clicked the video and I watched this 40-minute presentation about a business model that doesn't require any money but only time. And this was like my golden nugget. I was like, yes, this is exactly what I need. I don't have any money. I gave all my money to my dad, but I do have time. So this will work perfectly fine for me. So after watching that presentation, instead of me buying a course, just like every other guru tells you every time you watch a 40-minute video, I decided to take a different path where I figure it out by myself. And my next steps were to pick a service, pick a social media platform where I would find clients and then create the business name, the business email, and so on and so forth. All that really boring stuff that I don't want to talk about because it's going to bore you out. And for 6 months of me running so-called business, I didn't get any results. I thought I would get results within the first 2 months because that's what the guru was promising on his video, but I ended up taking a little bit longer than that, and it was mainly my problem because I was jumping from one platform to another, trying to figure out clients from different markets that didn't have anything to do with each other. I was trying to work with people who didn't even need my services. So of course, I wasn't getting anywhere because I was just dabbling around with everything, not knowing exactly what I'm doing. However, though, by the 7th month of me running the that business, I had someone agree with me to jump on a call with me to see exactly what I could offer him to help grow his business. And on the sales call, within the first 10 minutes, I already knew I was gonna sign that person. Not because I was very good at selling services, but because we got along so well within the first 10 minutes that the call actually turned from being a regular sales call to us chit-chatting about a bunch of other figures in the business space, especially the people who present themselves online. Because he had 2 books on his table, and I mentioned the fact that I also watch these people that, of the figures that he has on his books on his desk. And he was like, oh, you watch these people, have you ever been to some of their conferences? Have you watched any of their webinars? And I was just babbling. I was like, of course I watched their webinars. Of course I attended their conferences. I buy their courses all the time. I didn't buy their courses. I was just trying to get the sale. And then after yapping for so long about these figures, he's like, okay, let's get into it. Show me exactly how you can help me. I have a really good feeling about you. So I screen share from my mom's computer because I didn't have a laptop, showing him a presentation of exactly what I can do to help grow his business. And I was showing him the strategies that we would implement to get him new clients and whatnot. And by the end of the call, he's like, I like this. I need this. This is exactly what we're looking for at the moment. What's your pricing? And I was just sitting down with myself. I was like, okay, how much should I say? How much should I say? I don't want to say $1,000, but I also don't want to say 2. I don't want to say 3. I think I'm going to go as high as I can. I'm going to say a large number that would probably have him end the call with me and probably block me from everywhere. I said, for 3 months of service, the price would be $14,000. And I said the price and I just sat back. I was like, okay, this is it. It's either a yes or a no. He's going to block me or I'm just going to get the sale. He stayed quiet for a moment. He's like, let's do it. Now, I know you may say, how could you get somebody to sign with you for $14,000 when you don't really have any experience with the service that you're selling? Here's the sneaky part. I had someone from a different country with a lot of experience come and work for me, and I took all his case studies. Okay, and I know this is going to sound bad, but it's capitalism. It is what it is. And I offered these case studies as the work results that we would get for him. And of course, I had the right to do so because the guy that was working for me, he agreed to have me show his case studies to sign clients. That's why the person who ended up giving me $14,000 agreed to sign with me, because he was like, okay, if this guy has results, best believe he could probably give me the same results. So he signed with me. And for 3 months, we were working together, okay? We got him the best of results. But here's the issue. I didn't like the business. I didn't like the business model. There was a lot of competition. If I wanted to grow in that business, I would need to not only outsmart all the competition, but I would need to compete with the big dogs in the industry, which I didn't have the means to do because I'm just a regular person who's trying to make some money. How can I compete with everybody when I only have little means to do so? So after 4 months, I decided to shut down the business completely. I gave my so-called employee some money before I left, and I was like, okay, this is me starting over again. I need to figure out exactly what I'm gonna do. And I know you may say, well, Yusuf, doesn't that mean that you now have a lot of money to build something better? No, I do not. No, I didn't. What happened was, after I signed the client and I made good money, I was like, what's the best move for me to do? Should I save that money or should I do something with it? I decided to give the money to my father again. And I know this is the dumbest thing anyone can do, but it felt like I had no other choice because my father was suffering mentally and financially. It felt like I had to help him out. So what I did was I put some money aside for my brother's school, and then I called my grandfather again. I was like, okay, what is the next move? What are the updates? Are there anything new about my father's case? He's like, well, no, he still hasn't figured everything out. And if you want to keep him out of jail more, we need to keep him outside by giving money to the people who submitted a lawsuit against him to not refile and reopen the case. So I was like, how much do they need? And he literally said a price that took me from $14,000 to $600 to my name. And when I gave him the money to keep my father out of jail, I was like, okay, if I did it once, if I did it twice, maybe, just maybe, I will do it the third time as well. So for months after that, I was looking for jobs. Again, I didn't want to start a business this time because I was like, okay, if there's one thing I learned about business and building your own thing, if I want to start something, it has to be a complete passion project. Like, I don't want to start something just for the sake of making money. I want to do something that I love doing, just like how I used to love making videos on TikTok, right? Because if you don't love what you're doing, then how can you grow it? So now, instead of me building a new business, I decided to look for a different job. But this time, there was a hot topic called appointment setting. You set appointments for businesses, and when they close the deals, you get commissions. And I was like, okay, I see myself doing this. I honestly see myself doing anything. So I was like, okay, I could probably do this. I did sales once. Best believe I could probably knock this one out as well. So one day I was on a Telegram group, okay, of a bunch of business owners. Some of them are newbies. Some of them are complete professionals, and I was just in the group looking for new jobs. And then one guy posted that he's looking for an appointment setter for a life coach that he's coaching. So he was a business coach coaching a life coach to get more clients, and he needed an appointment setter to help get clients for the life coach that he was coaching. I know this is a complete mental clusterfuck, but this is exactly what was going on. And I said to myself, well, I've got nothing to lose. Again, I have Wi-Fi, I have time, I already have experience. Let me apply. I applied, and the guy took 3 weeks to respond. On the 3rd week, he's like, hey, are you still looking for that job? I was like, of course I am. We set up on a call with me, him, and the life coach that he was coaching. And the lady on the call, because she was a lady, she loved the vibes that I brought to the call, that she was like, can you start from tomorrow? I was like, of course I can. But first, can we discuss like commissions? How much would I be getting? She was like, okay, well, I sell packages anywhere from $3,000 to $6,000, and you would get 10%. I was like, okay, if I take all my mental capacity and my work ethic and I just put it into something like this, maybe I could make $6,000 within the first month. So I got on the job thinking that, okay, I'm gonna make tons of money from that. She's getting a lot of leads, a lot of people that want to work, a lot of people want to work with her. This is a golden opportunity for me. However, despite me booking over 50 calls within the first month of me being on the job, she closed 0 deals. And if you know anything about business or sales or marketing, this is dog shit. But I wouldn't blame her. I would blame the business coach that was coaching her on how to get clients, because although I was doing my job, he didn't teach her a single thing about sales. And I got to find out that most of the money that she was making for her business was completely local. So she had no idea how online marketing works. And that so-called business coach was teaching her exactly how to do things and how to get clients. But she didn't know how to close deals. She had me bring in the clients, but she couldn't close the deals because she didn't understand the mechanisms behind taking someone who's completely new to their page to a client. She didn't know how to do that. And the issue is, instead of this being only a 1-month thing, no, this turned to 2 months of me not getting paid a single dime, despite me getting as many people as I can to jump on a call with her. But on the 3rd month, she finally closed the client. How good is that for me, right? I got paid $300 for that sale. You know, it even got to a point where it was bad, to the point that she would pay me in bonuses because she felt bad. She knew something was wrong. But then that's when I was like, okay, maybe there is a way for me to intervene and to fix some of the problems that she is facing. And maybe, just maybe, I could get paid a lot more money. So what I decided to do is offer more help. I was like, okay, lady, I know you're not closing as many deals as you want, okay? Let me show you how it's done. Okay, I built her out the sales process using what I learned from the time I used to run a business and my time working as a salesperson. I showed her how to persuade people to buying. I showed her how to actually build rapport with people. I showed her how to present her services to the people so it's actually valuable and it's not just about her making money. I showed her exactly what she can do to close deals. And best believe, within the first month of me putting in the extra effort, she made $15,000. Now, this time I was like, okay, she's gonna give me my commission of $1,500. Okay, I love it. And she gave me a little extra bonus on top of that. So on that month, I made $2,000. Okay, but that's when I was like, okay, I see my skills. I know I can offer more than what the other business coach is showing you. So could you please refer me to a bunch of people who would benefit from what I'm offering to you? She agreed to refer me to a bunch of people, okay? And she was like, I would absolutely love to do that for you. You have been so great to me. This is the least that I can do for you. And I'll be honest, I didn't think she would do it because for a month, she didn't post me. She didn't refer me to anybody. She just had me on the leash doing more work for her until eventually I wake up one morning and she's like, okay, I'm going to post this on my Instagram. Do you think it's okay? Does this work for you? Do you like how it's done? Do you want me to mention more things? I was like, yeah, this is perfect. You know, just post on your story and let me know how it goes. She posts on her story everything that I've done for her, and 10 people DM'd her for my help. A week after she posted the story, I was on a call almost every single day with people who wanted my help to grow their business, okay? I ended up closing 4 people for $3,000. And now I was at my A game. I was making good money again. I was having things work out for me, and I was closing people and helping them grow their business. But if there's one thing we learned from my first ever venture, which I ended up shutting down, it's if you don't have a passion for what you're doing, then you can never grow it. So although I was helping businesses grow, like life coaches and whatnot, I didn't like what I was doing because I don't want to be one of those people who are just, let me help your business grow. There's a bunch of people out there who are like that. I'm not that kind of person, okay? I'm more of a, let me just sit down, do nothing, help people in the way that I want to help them and do what I love doing most and somehow grow it. That's exactly what I wanted to do. So could you guess what I did after working with 4 people for 6 months? I shut down that so-called, well, it wasn't really a business, but I shut down the so-called process that I was doing of helping other businesses grow in exchange for money. I was like, okay, this is it. This is it. I don't want to help businesses anymore. I want to help me grow. Okay, what would I want to do to be fulfilled in life? But I didn't know where to start. So what I decided to do is I went back to the person that I was working for as an appointment setter. I was like, okay, can I ask for some advice? Could you help me? You're a life coach. Like, you could guide me to figure out a purpose in life. So she was like, okay, tell me your story. Why do you want to make money from the first place? What are some struggles that you're going through? How's your family? How's your mental health? How is XYZ in your life? She would ask me a lot of deep questions about my life and my personal self. I was like, okay, should I trust that person with what I'm telling, like with the kind of information that I'm giving out? Like, is it okay? Because at the time, I didn't really trust anybody. I really just trusted myself. So for me, opening up to that life coach, it was big for me. She's like, okay, why don't you do what I do? I was like, what do you mean? She's like, why don't you be a coach? I was like, be a coach? Like, what? She's like, well, you already done it. You already helped people with businesses. Why don't you help people with something that you actually care about? I was like, maybe she's cooking. Maybe she's onto something. I don't know how, and I don't know what she's talking about, but maybe, just maybe she's onto something. And then she was like, okay, you mentioned in the story that you used to go through a lot of stress and anxiety and you went down a spiritual path to overcome that problem. I was like, yes. She was like, okay, why don't you offer that mechanism, that process to people where you also help other people with anxiety and stress in exchange for money? I was like, okay, maybe I see where you're coming from. I just don't quite see it clearly. And then she made the picture clear by mentioning the fact that if you had a problem in life and you overcame that problem, to you, that's unique. And to you, that's something that you found joy doing, because by me going down a spiritual journey of meditating, doing breath works and yoga and all that kind of stuff every single day, it brought peace to me. So if I could help other people do it, then not only am I being authentic, but I will actually love what I'm doing, and in exchange, I'll get paid for it. So then I decided in November of 2023 that I would be starting a business where I do just that. And I'm not gonna tell you how things have went from there, but it's the business that I've been running since then till this day. And not only am I still keeping my father out of jail, but also I now secured my brother's future by opening up a bank account and giving that bank some money to make sure that when he goes to college, because he finishes school next year, when he goes to college, he has funds to stay in school, unlike me. And I also now have good money for myself to support my mom with whatever she needs. So I'm not going to tell you how much I make on a monthly basis, because I would rather keep that to myself. This is just a podcast. This is just an episode to prove to you that you can fail, start over again, lose everything, start over again, and then find something, lose it, start over again, and just go through a loophole of just starting over again every single time and still find joy, success, and happiness. The most important part is change in perspective. You need to change your outlook on life. When something bad happens to you, and when you go through something where you're forced to take a different path in life, instead of looking at it from the standpoint of it's game over for me, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? And for me, it was every time I start something that I do not like and do it just for the sake of money, I will always find myself at ground zero. And I should always go down a path where I do what I love doing most, and I do something that I'm actually passionate about. Because if I'm passionate about something, then I can make it grow. And as a result, not only do I help a lot more people in the process and actually change more people's lives, but I can also make money from it. For me, it was all about passion. And it wasn't until that I started that business that I actually found purpose in life. I found that, sure, although my dream of becoming a TikTok star never worked out, I can still find my spark somewhere else. And it's helping people, either through videos or through coaching or through whatever. I can still find joy by helping people grow in life, because I realized that when I help people grow, I get to grow. So for you, if you lost a job, if you lost a passion project, if something didn't work out your way, don't cry about it. Sure, be sad about it just for a short period of time. Give yourself that moment of just being sad about something, but don't make that your natural state of being. Find reasons to why you should keep going. Tell yourself that, okay, if this didn't work out, sure, surely God has something better for me in place. Surely something is in the making for me. Sure, I could still be upset about what happened, but somehow, some way, I will figure it out. Tell yourself every day when something is not working out for you, or when you're forced to start over again, that you will and you can make it all back. Because it's only through that mentality that you overcome any obstacle in life. And it eventually, you get to a point where literally nothing can shake you. Like something bad happens, let it happen. Who gives a fuck? It's not gonna shake you. If you lose a job, fuck it, who cares? I can find another job. You'll get to that point of, I don't give a fuck about anything. And when you reach that state, you've won the game of life. You have won the ticket of life. You can literally go through life and have external environment not shake you in any way to a degree that you can build your dream life in whatever way you want. When you achieve the state of, I can and I will every single time, literally all opportunities present themselves to you. And not only that, you go through a character development. Like you achieve a mental discipline to the point that you can shift your mental states at will. Like you can go from sad to surrender and then acceptance to then joy. You can really just go up the mental scale of emotions that eventually you can just feel good all the time because you know your life is full of joy and you can always figure things out. And when you get to a point where you're always feeling good, you will always experience good things in life. So don't worry about having to start over again. Instead, honestly, rejoice. Be joyful when you have to start over again because you challenge yourself. You prove to yourself now that I have nothing, which means I have nothing to lose. And as a result, what I can achieve is limitless. I hope I wasn't yapping too much in that session. I just want you to know that sure, life can be hard sometimes, but through mental discipline and through changing perspective, you can always find joy in life despite how things are working out for you externally. And I really hope you like this episode because like I mentioned, I get to grow in life when I help other people grow in life. And if you like that episode, all I ask from you is to subscribe, leave a like, comment down below anything that you want me to talk about, anything that you want me to mention in my videos. Like if you have questions that you want me to address, please let me know and I'm more than happy to do so. Go and watch all my past episodes. This is just like the fourth. I think this is the fourth or the third. Honestly, I forgot this one. This is like the third or the fourth episode of this podcast. I call it Real Talk with Yusuf. I honestly didn't know what to name it, so I just named it Real Talk with Yusuf because here we sat on business. Okay, we only talk about real stuff. Let me know if you have different points of view about what I mentioned in this video because I am open to different perspectives. If you think that I did something wrong, please let me know because I honestly, like, I'm not gonna pretend like I know all the answers because I'm a student of life. So if you have a different perspective about something that I did that I shouldn't have done or I should have done differently, let me know and I'm open to your response. I don't take hate in a way that affects me. I take it as like if somebody's trying to advise me to do something differently, I am all ears, okay? So I'm not gonna pretend like I know something better than you because trust me, you and I are the same, okay? We just do things differently. And if you're open to different perspectives, let me know. More than happy to listen to you. I hope you like this episode and I hope I see you in the next episode.